Hey, 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 Romelia, checking in with the reaction to Sunday's games and um, and the Rams' outlook for the rest of the season after the bye. Um, we had some pretty good games went on this weekend and some surprises, and that's what happens. The Rams lost to the Titans, the mighty Titans, and that mighty Titans group that made us look silly and beat us at SoFi Stadium. They finally came down to earth and lost to the Texans 22-13. So that happens. The Cowboys, it's always entertaining seeing the Cowboys lose. Dak Holmes had a chance to show that he deserves to get Mahomes money, and he went into Mahomes' house and laid an egg. And it happens. That's why with Matthew Stafford, the last two games, quarterbacks have bad games. Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. He's a quarterback that can lead a franchise, so it happens. I'd like to give a heartache to the Cowboys fans, so that's why I bring that up. But it happens. Tom Brady's had bad games this year. Stafford's had a few bad games. It is what it is. Um, then going on more around the league, we got the Washington team beating the Panthers 27-21. The Eagles handed it to the Saints 40-29. Um, the Colts coming out of nowhere and beating the Bills 41-15. Poor Josh Allen. I'm really a fan of Josh Allen, and poor guy. They can right the ship. He's a great quarterback. And the Packers. Here's a key game for the Rams is the Packers because it doesn't matter who we play during the playoffs. We'll play who we need to and beat who we need to get to the Super Bowl. But the Packers, that we're fighting for home field advantage, if not throughout the playoffs, because the Cardinals are running off with that record for that. But I don't mind going indoors to Arizona to beat them in the playoffs. But I hate having to go to Packerland and the tundra and it be cold as heck and our receivers can't catch the ball or I'd rather be controlled elements. But still, I'd rather play them at SoFi Stadium. So that's great that the Packers lost to the Vikings 34-31 in a bit of a surprise. And the Raiders lost to the Bengals. The Raiders have had a lot of turmoil with Gruden leaving and that player getting arrested. And so yeah, they're a good team. I really like Carr. But they just got a lot of stuff going on right now, and the team um, turns it on, turns it off. It's just a hard season for them. But the Bengals, did it to them 32-13. The Cardinals rolled with the great Colt McCoy over the Seahawks. Um, wow, the Seahawks this year, um, uh, this year is something after last. This year is has been a surprise. Teams have lost to teams that they shouldn't have. It's been surprises all around. Teams have had players lost to COVID for a few weeks because they had COVID, um, or take like the Packers situation where you have the diva Aaron Rodgers lying about a situation and compounding it when he actually got COVID. Um, it's just been a weird year. I would love for my Rams to be dominant all the way through, but this is our journey. I've said it before. This is our journey to get to the Super Bowl. We started out without Cam Akers and now without Robert Woods. Hey, good morning, Jared. Thank you, brother. I just wanted to come in here. Yeah, about reaction. Uh, these games is a handful of games or a couple of games that help us out in the fight for home field advantage in the playoffs. I was just mentioning that the Packers are a team that we want to have a better record than. So if we face them in the playoffs, we can play them at SoFi Stadium instead of the Tundra in Green Bay. So they lost. That helps us out. The Cowboys, I'd rather play them at SoFi Stadium than Dallas if we played them. The Cowboys lost, and the team that's going to be hard, we have to beat them for sure anyway, is the Arizona Cardinals, but they keep rolling. So, like I said before, we just got to put W's on the board. I don't care if they're ugly. We just got to do it, and that's what the Cardinals have been able to do. That's the difference between them and past years. Is they lose a guy, or they Kyler Murray, because he's a smaller quarterback, not just in height, but he's not a sturdy big guy, like a Russell Wilson who can take the pounding year, week in, week out. So they're lucky able to get him some rest, get him fully 100% that you can ask for during this time of year, and still win. They lost one game, so we got to beat them for sure. I don't know if we can catch them. Hopefully we can. Hopefully we can catch them. So there's always chance for that. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to, we've had 2 weeks. We have this week coming up. We have a game against the Jaguars at SoFi Stadium. OBJ is going to get implemented into the offense. Von Miller and the guys are going to start figuring out the stunts they want to use against each other, because they both, we had Von Miller, we got OBJ. Robert Woods went down against the 49ers right a couple days before the 49er game on Friday night after practice. They got the MRI, and he has a torn ACL, and so we had to rush those guys in. Von Miller was nursing an ankle injury, so he's going to be fully implemented. OBJ is well. He's going to be a lot more implemented into our offense. So, he's going to know more of the play. So if we need to, we can run hurry up offense and up tempo offense, not have to huddle and not have to, just do basic plays with him. He's going to be able to do the hot reads and things like that. And the more reps that Stafford has with him, the more that he can build a rapport. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to us coming out of the gate swinging. The Jaguars are the perfect tune-up for us to, and I say that because we've laid a couple eggs back to back, but the Jaguars are the perfect game to tune up at home at SoFi Stadium, and then we go to the Packers, and we got to put a whooping on them. Aaron Donald's chomping at the bit to get back to Green Bay and beat them, because he was in the sidelines injured while the Packers beat us in the playoffs last year. So I'm looking forward to that too. Hopefully we can take those 2 wins, and I'm looking for us to be ready to go. Also around the league, the 49ers won again. They got to 500. They're in a 2-game winning streak. The Seahawks are a team that's in turmoil. Russell Wilson is trying to do the best that he can. I saw him struggle out there a little bit. He's a little rusty still. Looks like he doesn't have the rapport he usually has with his wide receivers, and so they're going down deep. They're in the basement right now, and who knows with that team? That franchise, he might walk after this season. They had turmoil earlier in the year, and they didn't want to listen to him about things. I don't know exactly what the problem was, but there was some turmoil, and Carroll's a little long in the tooth. It's been there for a long time. Who knows? Maybe they'll be in rebuild mode. And the same thing with the 49ers. Kyle Shanahan, in my opinion, if let's say the Rams would have won that game, and they're pretty much out of the playoffs with that, or virtually, on a high wire for the playoffs to be over for them. And Kyle Shanahan, it's been there for 5 years, and 4 years, and he's not made the playoffs. And 3 of the 4 years, 3 of the 5 years, he has been in last place. And he's a great offensive mind, but he's a horrible head coach in my opinion, and he shows it all the time. He plays good against the Rams, but he doesn't play good against other teams. Sometimes matchups make, and there's no way to explain it. Unfortunately, we're on the wrong side of that. We have the same thing with the Seahawks. We can basically roll out of bed and play them good, or beat them, or at least split with them. Yeah, the Packers. Let's see, Jared. The Packers we face on Sunday, and the week after the Rams host the Jags. Uh, oh, sorry, yeah, I got that backwards. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. I should know that. um, yeah, so yeah, we gotta beat the Packers. I'm looking forward to that game. It's a good test for our guys. Like I said, this is our journey. We want to get to the Super Bowl and ultimately win it at home, but this is our journey. We started out with Cam Akers going down, and we were like, no, I could just picture him with our offense right now, and that would take up some of the slack, and we could just give him the ball, especially against the 49er game. You have a big stud like that at running back, even though Henderson and Sony Michel's filled in very nicely, but this guy is a guy that can carry a team. He can carry a team for drives. I remember the Seahawk game, he was doing that, and in the Packer game, he was playing good too. And so this guy, he's looking good. He might even be back for the playoffs. That'd be a heck of a shot in the arm for our offense. But Robert Woods going down. This is our journey to the Super Bowl. Very similar to when we went in 2018 when Cooper Cup went down the middle of the year, and we had to make adjustments. And the thing about it too is, there's no excuses. If you're able to play, you're able to win. So the guys that come out, that need to do their job. We lost a pretty, in my opinion, a pretty big piece in the defensive line with with Joseph Day uh, going out with his pec injury again, having surgery again. He was a pretty good piece in the middle. I would love to have had them in the 49er game to help stop some of the mess in the middle, the runs, and but the 49er game, that still crawls, that still is crawls in the back of my mind because you know the 49ers had so much pressure on them. All we had to do was come out and play our game. For instance, um, make Jimmy Garoppolo throw to the hash marks and the sidelines. He doesn't have a strong arm. He struggles doing that. Everybody knows that. Don't let him throw over the middle. It's the easiest, fastest way for them to complete passes. On third down, if you have to put Jalen Ramsey on Kittle to get him out, to check him off the line, to give the to give our pass rushers Donald and Floyd and Von Miller a chance to get home a little more time, and then get Debo, and if you have to double him and put Ramsey on Kittle, and they still have Ayuk, but make him beat you. There's ways you can do it, mix it up, but just to let Kittle go willy nilly off of the line most of the time, and just turn around and catch balls and beat us. It's like that's pretty basic. That's the thing that killed me. Besides our offense not playing well, that there's a few third downs that we could have stopped them and we didn't. Hey, GB Ball. Yeah, Jimmy can't throw outside the numbers. That everybody knows that. To me, he's a decent quarterback. He's a game manager quarterback, but he cannot throw. That's not his strong suit. Let's just say it that way. And we didn't make him do that. He was able to throw up the middle, which is the easiest, fastest way to throw. And he threw balls where he likes to throw them, and we knew that going in. And yeah, the Rams share stadium. That was part of the deal for us to come back to Los Angeles, and we'll take that. The Chargers better have our rent. We always say, just to kid them. Hey, you guys better have our rent. So yeah, the Chargers eventually probably find their own home, but um, I we share the stadium, but don't make no mistake, it's our stadium. Whenever they do concerts or anything that is not football related, that money goes to Stan Kroenke and the guys in the Rams organization. So, that's our stadium. The Chargers are able to use it. That was part of the deal with the Rams coming to Los Angeles. We had to carry our little brothers from the San Diego with us, and it is what it is. But right now we share it, but it is our stadium. Make no mistake about it. Uh, yeah, the thing about Jimmy Garoppolo is, I gotta tip my cap to the guy. I'm not a fan of his at all, but He's played good against us. I remember 2019, he was pulling passes out of his ass and throwing the ball deep and on the money. Same thing he did against us this time. Not throwing the ball deep, but getting the first downs and third down. He looks comfortable with this, which is driving me nuts. He'll play other teams and he'll look scared. There was a few times when we play him and we sacked him, and any quarterback you get in his face, don't help ourselves. We don't make him throw to the outside. We don't uh, stop line free. We leave Debo. We let Debo catch the ball and get yards after catch. We know that what he wants to do. At least somebody get on him and jump on him right away and tackle him to the ground. He's a good player. He's a big player, but out of 5 catches, let's at least 3 times get him to the ground. Jeez. Yeah, I agree. He had too much time. He had too much time. That game was really disappointing. The 49er game. I just have to, as Ram fans, it sucks. This is the 5th time in a row that we lost to them. And it's one of the things you just can't explain. I see the 49er YouTube bloggers, and some of them are my buddies out there. They have a right to do it. They put there's a way that you can put like messages on YouTube and put little memes of Kyle Shanahan with Sean McVay in a little pouch, like a baby pouch, like a Kyle Shanahan owns him or something. I saw one of them go, hold on now. Even with that win, the 49ers are Kyle Shanahan is 5-3 versus the Rams. One of the wins that I don't count is when 2018, he's technically 6-3 versus the Rams, but one of them I don't count because in 2018, I think it was, we sat all of our starters. We were when we were playing the Falcons at home for the playoffs, we won the division already. We sat everybody and they took a cheap win and they were all bragging and they were sitting on the sidelines. And during the playoffs, they came in last place. It's the year when Garoppolo first came to the 49ers, and they were a horrible uh, 1-10, and they had like 20 fans in the stands. They talk about Niner faithful and stuff like that. Any team that loses, your fans are going to show up after a while. They get tired of it, but they could not sell out their building. They were 1-10, and in the dubs, Garoppolo gets signed and he runs off 5 straight victories, and one of them was against us when we sat our players. So technically, in my mind, because we did that, uh, Kyle Shanahan is 5-3. But make no mistake, he's got the worst winning percentage in the division. He's got one of the worst winning percentages in the division as head coach in the NFL as head coach since he's been with the 49ers, and because of injuries and stuff like that. But everybody has injuries, as we can attest. You still got to win, and they still had good players. If they can beat us with guys out in the past, then they can beat other teams, so that's not, no excuses there. But he's been one of the most horrible head coaches in the league, except for when he plays us. So if that's his straw in his cap, that well, at least we beat the Rams. Okay, but you guys don't make the playoffs and you guys can't even get to 500. They did this week. So that's a straw in their cap, but then you're not that good at head coach. Well, yeah, the Niners' 5th win in a row, JB Val, B Val, how about that? Uh, Team with their full roster going into the playoffs. Um, to Rams are afraid to lose to them with the full roster going to the playoff. No, you know, this Rams team, uh, we can beat anybody. We've proven that with the beating the Bucks. The Bucks have struggled here and there, but they're a quality team. The 49ers are not any more talented than the Bucks are. And so it's just the Rams, unfortunately, I was watching the game again, and I just wanted to see some more stuff that I did maybe missed the other time because I was so disgusted But it was almost like we were sleepwalking, with Robert Woods, um, being such a big integral part and such an excitement guy. He's a leader. It was almost like we were sleepwalking. We're almost in mourning because Robert Woods is not going to play the rest of the year, and it's not an excuse. You still got to play the game, you know. That's what it looked like. I mean, even it got to Cooper Cup, and he was dropping balls. The Higby ball going off of his hands. It just looked like we weren't ready to play, and I think it was because of Robert Woods going down on Friday at practice. And I'm sure that Robert Woods shed some tears. I'm sure that he was very upset, and all the guys love him, as fans, the Ram fans. And if you're an NFL fan, I think you appreciate the job that Robert Woods does, and that appreciate his talent. That's what it looked like to me. They should have handled it. They've been a little more professional and came out better. But my hats off to the 49ers. They did what they had to do. Um, I thought that we were gonna when we had Robert Woods, I thought we were gonna blow them out, with Stafford and everybody, and then we lost Robert Woods, and my jaw was to the floor, and I was like, "What? Are you serious? Right before this game? Why couldn't we play the game before if he was gonna go down at least?" But, you can't pick when you're gonna have an injury. So, but yeah, that's what it looked like to me, and then Von Miller, the Niners did a good job on some of the stunts the Rams did with Von Miller, but the main thing is the Rams coverage wasn't making Jimmy hold the ball longer and have to look to the outside. He was looking down the middle, and he was able to get the ball off before we got home. And you know, yeah, GB Val, yeah, Matt Stafford's played terrible the last couple of weeks. That's right, but like I said, this year is so weird. Tom Brady's looked bad. Dak Prescott looked bad yesterday. Mahomes has looked bad. They were saying, hey, that's the first thing that people do is, oh, the NFL's caught up with Mahomes. The NFL is a tough place to play. You have big guys coming down on you. At times, you have a banged up offensive line that maybe not even show up in the injury report. You are the quarterback, and you kind of know, oh man, I better watch out today because I know that so and so's banged up. On the Rams side, that's why this bye came at a good time. We're kind of limping to the bye. Brian Allen was hurting, and it showed. It showed against the 49ers. He got a messed up elbow, and we're kind of limping to the bye, and that's going to help us health wise, and also getting OBJ up to speed, and working some plays and then that we can use with him. So I'm looking for us to come out and be explosive again. You don't replace a Robert Woods. He's a different type of player than OBJ. He can do everything. OBJ, we're going to go to his strengths, and he's going to be a hell of a player for us. The Koskis and the Stronics are going to have to step up, and they're pretty decent players. And with more time with them, get acclimated, move into the third and fourth receiver. Van Jefferson is ready to step forward. So I look for us to start taking off again. Yeah, Tom Brady is 100 years old. But with the NFL, this is why I'm so happy that we have Matthew Stafford. Yes, we're all in for this year, for sure, and I love that. I God wish. Okay, let me just say this, and I'm not gonna keep harshing that, but it's in the back of my mind. This has been a great year so far. We're 7-3. We beat the Bucks again. I hate that we lost the 49ers, but we have Stafford. At the beginning of the year, we had Matthew Stafford, we had Robert Woods, we had Cooper Cup, we signed Deshaun Jackson, riches. This is like Christmas time for us. And then when Cam Akers went down and Robert Woods went down, so now we got to just rally the troops. We've had some key injuries to guys on our offense, and so our offense is kind of stagnated. And Matthew Stafford has felt it, and he's just had a couple of bad games, but the defenses are not letting us get the big play, and we just have to make adjustments, and that's what the season's about. That's what the journey's about. It'll help us in the end. In the end, with all that experience Stafford has, we'll be okay. But that's what I love that we got Matthew Stafford. Back to what I was saying, because in this NFL they protect the quarterbacks. So he can last another 3 or 4 more years, and we'll go from there. I love the fact, and maybe some people don't agree with me, but I love our mobile quarterback Bryce Perkins. He made some if he's going to be the future, that'd be nice. But there's plenty of times to talk about that. But I really think that he might beat out Wolford next year for the backup job. From what I saw, I like Wolford. I like Wolford, the Wolfman, but I think Bryce Perkins has a better skill set, and him being mobile, we'll see. But that's in the back burner. Hey, Johnny G. Yeah, the Winers are only 2 games behind us, and they can't. That's right. That's what happens. You lose a couple games in a row, and they win 2. Uh, yeah, we're going to Green Bay now. We got to take care of business, JB Val. That's what I was saying. They lost. That helped us this week. We beat them in Green Bay. It's a fight for the home field advantage. I'd rather play them at SoFi Stadium in the playoffs than go into the frozen tundra. But with OBJ getting more reps, and now with the last 2 weeks, and Von Miller and the defense working together and making some schemes up that they can use with Donald, I look for us to come out swinging. But he's, make no mistake, Aaron Rodgers is something else, man. But yeah, the 49ers, they're only a couple games back, but they're lucky to get to this point because they beat they beat us right on the heels of most. I could just say, let me just say it this way, and it's not just because I'm being arrogant or being something else. Some of my buddies that are YouTube bloggers were already saying, "Oh, I just hope that we before the Rams game, they have all these memes now on their channel about how Kyle has had great success against McVay. I'll say it that way to make it easier for us in the recent years. But they were saying on their own channels, and I would go in there and we'd talk back and forth. I wasn't talking smack with them. We were just, we're always polite and we give our opinion at the same time. But um, they were saying, well, I just hope it's competitive. All of them were saying that we were going to win. So it's funny now that they're, this and they about Kyle Shanahan, and they have a right to. They beat us, but all of them were saying that we were going to win. They just hope it wasn't a blowout. All of them. So make no mistake, they know what the Rams are. Yes, they're only a couple games behind us, but let's just look down the line. Robert Woods, I like Debo and Ayuk, but I'd rather have Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. Their third receiver, I'd rather have OBJ or even Deshaun Jackson. They're tight ends. The only place I give them. We have a poor man's Kittle and Higbee, but he's a good tight end. I love Kittle. They have us at tight end. Defensive line, I take our guys with Joseph Day in there with Floyd and now Von Miller and Aaron Donald, the greatest defensive player in recent memory. Jalen Ramsey in the secondary is not even close. I take McVay over Shanahan any day. If we played head to head, we'd have to change up some stuff. But as far as just a general head coach, a guy that is a leader of men, a guy that can get you wins against other teams, not just against head to head, McVay. The Rams franchise in a much better state than the 49ers. The Rams franchise is, if you look at Forbes, because we have that SoFi Stadium, is valued higher than the 49ers. It's that old meme. They hate us because they ain't us. The 49ers wish they were us right now. We have a better record. We have a better head coach. We have better players across the board. They've had our number. Okay, it happens. But, we're not coming off of uh, 4 losing seasons in 5 years. So 3 losing seasons in 5 years, and this year they were right. They're gonna have a losing season again, but they props to them. They're at 500, and the Rams are worth more according to Forbes than the 49ers, even with all those championships. Slow Fly Stadium versus Levi Stadium. It's not even a to me, the way I just mentioned it, there are little brothers. The 49ers are the Rams' little brothers. From the stadium to the head coach to the players that we get free agents to come here because we're in Los Angeles. We're on the West Coast mecca of sports. They're in NoCal. Um, people, there's already been a couple players that picked us over them. They're a proud franchise and they have the hardware, but to me, they're our little brothers when it comes to overall outlook. They've had our number, so hey, it is what it is. The Clippers beat the Lakers a few years in a row too when the Lakers were down, but we've lost to them, and it's just one of those things where the other team has your number and I hate to say it with the 49ers because it's just like us. We roll out of bed and we beat the Seahawks. It doesn't matter. Um, yeah, McVay locked and loaded and ready to roll. Well, GB Val, I might be delusional, but tell me where I'm wrong. Do we have a better stadium than Levi? Yes. Is McVay shown to have to be a better head coach than Kyle Shanahan? Yes, that's another check. Are the Rams franchise rated higher and worth than the 49ers franchise despite all that hardware? Yes. If you look at the overall record, between Shanahan and you compare it because yes, McVay took over a better team in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion than Shanahan, but the Rams were still losing with Fisher at head coach. So are the Rams are the Rams better on both sides of the ball when it comes to players and attribute scores and all that? Yes. They just play good against each other. The 49ers play better. Um, but yeah, I mean, the 49ers lead the overall record. That's fine, but we're not going off of just that. The 49ers have had a number. There's 5 games in a row they beat us, but where has that got them? I mean, maybe if they beat if they when they beat the Rams, if that would give them 3 wins in the column, maybe they'd be able to make the playoffs, but they don't. So that's why, as far as Ram fans, we kind of wins that we lose to the 49ers. I mean, we lost to a 3-5 team. Granted, it's the best 3-5 team at the time in the NFL, but we lost to a 3-5 team. Other teams beat them. There's no reason why we couldn't with the players that we have, but it is what it is. In the NFL, anyone can win. Hey, Mike Melek. Well, I disagree with that. McVay is a heck of a coach, man. If he was to get fired today, same thing with Shanahan, they'd be hired within hours. You look around the league, like the Cowboys have Mike McCarthy, a retread coach. A lot of coaches that coach on McVay's staff get hired right away. McVay's coaching tree. If you had a cup of coffee with McVay, they want to hire you. Look at the Seahawks. The offensive coordinator was a Rams coach. The Packers coach. McVay's a good coach. There's no make no mistake about it. And he's a young guy. He's made his name around the league. He's not just an offensive guru. He's a heck of a coach. This is why we can bring in free agencies with like a OBJ or Deshaun Jackson that have reps around for being problems because they trust McVay, and he's a young coach. I didn't work out with Deshaun Jackson. He wanted to get more playing time, but players come here because of McVay. You can't. There's no way to troll that. NFL superstars come here because of where they play and because McVay's the head coach. So there's no way to troll that. That's just facts. Whether you think he's the best coach or whatever, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he's one of the best young coaches in the NFL. Period. And his record shows that you are what your record is. And Kyle Shanahan is what his record is. He's a losing coach. He's got, I think there was a stat where Nagy, the head coach, Nagy had a better winning percentage than Kyle Shanahan. So that tells you. Well, yeah, the Rams have celebrated NFC championships. that's what we've got to. But still, that's a winning. I'd rather get to the NFC Championship and than not make the playoffs. I'll tell you that. You know that'd be that's our bar. Our bar at least is making the playoffs. I'd hate for us to go back to the Jeff Fisher days, and that's what the Niners are living through right now. Basically, Kyle Shanahan is their Jeff Fisher, except they got to the Super Bowl. The Niners have been less than 500 with injuries and everything. I don't know if it's in the water over there or what it is. They need to do an exorcism at Santa Clara. But they've had injuries. One guy stood up, this Wilson guy, I think it was, that did good against his last game. The guy stood up and turned and tore his ACL. I mean, I don't know if Santa Clara Stadium is buried on a like the Poltergeist movie, if they're buried on some kind of graveyard or something, but they have bad luck with injuries. We've had bad luck, but they are decimated the last few years. I think it's an 8-year run where they have big injuries, and so all the Super Bowl wins that they've won in the past, they have not been able to match it, at least win the Super Bowl once in all this time. They always say quest for 6, and it's actually been a quest for 6 wins. So it is what it is, and that's even with beating us. How do you beat who have been successful? That's 2 wins that you have in your column, and you still can't get to 800 to 500. So there you go. So like I say, they play us like it's their Super Bowl, and then they bend over and take it by other teams. But that's just facts. That's not even trolling. That's just saying what it is. They can't beat other teams, but they play good against us and they beat us. So I hate losing the 49ers, but I'd rather have my team competing, getting guys for the chance to get to the Super Bowl and being in the playoffs every year. That's our bar. Then looking on the sidelines and your season is over by week 14. Um, yeah, Mike. Shanahan's a good coach. But to me, he's like a Nerf Turner. He's a heck of an offensive coordinator, but he's not a good head coach. And look at the way he's Trey Lance situation. The guy cannot bring quarterbacks along, young quarterbacks. I can imagine Trey Lance with the Sean McVay. I think they'd be in a better situation. But Shanahan's tough approach only when it comes to the Rams, though. Unfortunately, Shanahan's tough approach only works with the Rams. It doesn't work with other teams, and that's clearly true because he loses against other teams. How does this team rise up and play us so good, and then another week versus regular teams that aren't as good as us, they get beat. So we'll see. Maybe the 49ers, this woke them up and they'll go off, but we'll see. And no, GB Val, you're doing a sore spot now, man. Talking about my Dodgers. That's like the Dodgers lose every year in the playoffs. Well, they've gone to a few World Series, and we'll just leave it at that. They got one. McVay, let's see, Mike. McVay in his last game, he ran 43 pass plays. Yeah, Mike. There's no excuse for that. McVay is a good coach, but he didn't. It's his response, and that's that's another comparison. McVay at least says it to the media that he takes responsibility for this law, even when it's not his fault. The players have to play, but he takes responsibility. Whereas Kyle is arrogant, more arrogant than he should be with his record. He doesn't take responsibility for anything. If you look at guys like Grant Cohn and who interview him, 49er beat writers from Sports Illustrated, they can attest to that he's arrogant. And like, why are you arrogant when you can't even win? You can't even make the playoffs. But at least McVay says when he's wrong, and he makes mistakes. No coach is perfect. But yes, there was too much with Woods going down. I've said it before. With Woods going down, Friday before a Monday night game, at the last minute we have to change up our plan. I can't believe we didn't run more. That's their Achilles heel, is they can't stop the run them to the ground. If it was me, I would run right at Bosa. I'd have somebody smack him. See how good that knee is. I would have been physical with them. Let's do old school 1979 Ray Malavasi with Cullen Bryant coming around the corner. Let's do that. Let's do power formation and run them down. Go right at Bosa. The problem is they have good speed at linebacker and they come around the outsides. But let's run the ball more because they've had problems stopping the run. And then when we start getting big chunks of yards in the passing, it'll open up stuff. But it was just an end with the 49ers. Let's see. Yeah, Johnny G. The Dodgers sent the bums Giants home packing for a play. Well, they shouldn't have. They were talking about the check swing call, and I say, wait a minute now, you guys won the division on a check swing against us, so it's karma. Or else we would have had home field advantage and we would have been division champs. So yeah, it's always nice, just like the darn 49ers are able to say, we beat the Rams. It's always nice to beat the Giants. So that's one thing. Thank you for bringing that to me, Johnny, because it makes me feel a little better that my Giants smacked excuse me, my Giants. Oh boy, my Dodgers smacked the Giants around, and so the Niners returned the favor and smacked my Rams around. But yeah, it's always great beating San Francisco teams. Yeah, Mike, I agree with you, brother, but um, I still think that McVay is a good coach. Yes, against the Dolphins, it says Mike saying, look at the Miami game last year. We were running all over Miami, and he went empty set almost every play. Yeah, he does fall. He does, especially with Stafford. He falls in love with the pass, and that's fine in certain respects. But you have to run the ball because in playoffs you got to run the ball. Um, I'm not sure why he does that. That does drive me crazy. Like I said, no coach is perfect, but that's one thing that I'm surprised that he doesn't. Same thing with Kyle Shanahan, though. Kyle Shanahan has had before all these injuries. They have a stable of good running backs, even with the guys that are hurt now. And he doesn't run the ball a whole lot sometimes. And you're like, why aren't you running the ball more with Jimmy G? He can't throw the hash marks outside the numbers. And but yeah, McVay, make no excuses. Against the 49ers, he this last game, I'll just take this last game. We should have ran more, especially with Robert Woods going down. I just think that he believes so much in Stafford. And but you have to make adjustments. You have to, yeah. And but still though, I remember where we were before. McVay came, and so that's why I have so much respect for him because he's changed the culture. He's changed the outlook on this team. We have a winning culture, and we win. And so, yeah, he needs to, and he takes himself into account. Um, but yes, that we do. If we have to bring in one of my favorite Ram coaches, the legendary John Robinson, in here to be a run coordinator, not a coordinator, but a run supervisor. Bring him in here. We'll run the old Eric Dickerson plays. But get our guys moving and attacking. Get our offensive line. It's a treat for them to smack guys. Um, I hope he does. Have us run some more to establish. We need. Yeah, Johnny. We need to establish a run like we did in 2018 with Gurley and Anderson. It was elite. You're definitely right. Henderson, when he's out there, he's a smaller stature guy. He's very effective, and Sony Michel is a good veteran. They just don't. Uh, they're just smaller running backs. But yeah, by committee, if we had a Cam Akers in there, I think we'd be able to put lipstick on that pig, and we'd be fine because he'd be breaking through tackles and getting home more often. But yeah, let's see. Stafford will fall apart if the Rams don't run the ball the rest of the way of the playoffs. Uh, well, yeah, Mike, I can see that. Well, not fall apart, but not have as much success. Of definitely because teams are now even before McCombs had these last two good games. is they're playing the defense where they're not letting teams get the big play like the Rams, and they're making you get down the field. That's why yards after catch are important, and that's why Robert Woods is important. Um, we need to run the ball to set things up, and you're right, we need to run the ball, and that way we can basically lay the groundwork for the playoffs. And but yeah, no, I can agree with that. Not to necessarily fall apart, but make things easier for us. Yeah, you have a good point with that. Mike, I disagree with you. I think he's going to win a playoff game this year. Um, but remember, we didn't just bring him in for 1 year. We brought him in for the next few years. He's not a one and done guy. So let's just say, I hate to even think about that the Rams were one and done in the playoffs. Well, then we'll go next year. He's not, let me just say it this way. If a Dak Prescott or Jimmy Garoppolo can win a game in the playoffs, and so can Matt Stafford. So there's no reason he couldn't. He's already beat Tom Brady, just like Jared Goff did. If Jared Goff could win games in the playoffs in this with this coach, so can Stafford. Stafford's a heck of a player. Stafford is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Period. So he's had a couple of bad games. He's been in Detroit. He's a heck of a quarterback. If Stafford, there was some teams that were looking at Stafford. If Stafford was a younger player, it would have been a king's ransom for him to go to other teams. And yeah, Stafford hasn't won a playoff game, but he's with Detroit though. What that's not saying much. My props to Detroit guys, but fans, but that's not what Detroit Lions do. They don't win playoff games, but at least he took them there a couple times when they had decent teams around them. Yeah, Mike. Yeah, a long way to go too when it comes to making adjustments. Um, yes. Well, you have a good point. Yeah. McVay needs to help to make Stafford comfortable with the running game, but most quarterbacks, it's hard to just sling it at the NFL because they're not giving you anything deep. You have to be patient, but also too, you have to be accurate. That's the game. That's the thing that killed me with Stafford these last two games. Is usually he's accurate, and I think he was a little wound up in the 49er game, and some of his balls were high, and then guys weren't helping him. They needed to make some plays, and they were dropping balls. So, that's one thing that he needs to do himself is come out firing. Let's see, Johnny G. Having a good running game will win playoff wins. A couple of playoff games thanks to running scheme. That's right. One game where he only threw the ball like 5 times or something, and they won. Yeah, you're definitely right. They had a heck of a running game at that time. Um, that's why it was so weird that they were able to let the Seahawks, the Chiefs come back in that Super Bowl because their running game was off the chain, man. They were tough, and Shanahan just has that bad luck, I guess. He can't win the Super Bowl because he had two good teams to win it with, and he couldn't do it. That's kind of weird. At least in our Super Bowl, we had excuses. Cooper Kupp was not there and Gurley was beat up. We had, and you give Belichick 2 weeks to prepare for you. It's going to be tough. We still had a chance in that Super Bowl, but that's why our team couldn't do anything because Jared Goff wasn't making plays. And when he needed to, he was a little off on two long balls to Cooks in the end zone. And we couldn't score. Um, but yeah, you're right, man. The running game always helps out the passing game. Um, but I like I said, I'm really happy that we have Sean McVay as a head coach because he's changed the culture for us. We're a winning franchise now. We're respected around the league. Is he a perfect head coach? No, he's not. But he is a good head coach. I like him. Um, uh, I like Rams GM Les Snead. I like that we're able to pay players and get them to come in here because we want to win. We have a bright future. If you look around the league, I kind of spoke on it. Look at the Seahawks are struggling. Before the season, uh, uh, Wilson was having his spats with the team. They were talking about trading him. Maybe they weren't, but it was rumors. And now they're going to finish probably out of the playoffs now. There's a chance the Seahawks might make the playoffs. Wilson might be gone. They might be in rebuild mode. And then you look at the 49ers, they have a young quarterback. I don't think they're going to re-sign Garoppolo unless he takes a pay cut or adjust his contract. But they have a lot of one-year players. They could be semi rebuilding. So I'm looking, in the next few years, it'll be between the Rams and between the Cardinals. It looks like for the next few years for the division crown and for the Super Bowl. The 49ers have a lot of one-year players. A lot of them are older. They're going to lose some guys in the secondary. The secondary, that's the thing that killed me too. That's why McVay was throwing, but he should have ran. Is their secondary is not that good. But unfortunately, Robert Woods wasn't there, and we didn't have our complement of players. But yeah. So back to my point. The Seahawks may be rebuilding if they lose Wilson. I don't picture them losing him, but it's a chance because he was not happy, and I don't think he'll be happy again. He was not happy in preseason, all those rumors who knows? He might just want to leave again. And then the 49ers, they're going to have a lot of one-year players. The contracts are going to be coming up. They have to make a decision on Jimmy Garoppolo. We'll see how he finishes. If he gets hurt, we'll see. The 49ers could be in a semi-rebuild mode with a young quarterback. We'll see. Either way, if they were probably going to start Trey Lance next year, they're going to be so-so because anytime you start a young quarterback, he's going to have growing pains. We'll see about that. In my opinion, just from looking at him, he hasn't had much reps, so maybe it's not fair. Mac Jones looks like the quarterback they should have picked. It was rumored that Shanahan wanted to pick Mac Jones, and they didn't. The GM Lynch didn't let him. So we'll see what happens. Maybe that's why Shanahan's been tough on Trey Lance because that wasn't really his guy. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of stuff but that's in the future. But I was just giving you a general outlook on the future. The Rams, my point is this: that the Rams' outlook is very bright, and in some respects, it's brighter than our rival teams this side of the Arizona Cardinals, because the Cardinals with that young quarterback are doing well. But it's the first year of them doing this great. Normally, we've had their number. We beat them 8 straight times before they got us, but they're looking very good. Yeah, Mike, McVay is very predictable, and the other coaches have got his number. Well, no, not the other coaches, just the 49ers. Make no mistake, since McVay's got here, the 49ers have been the team that's wiggled through our fingers. We basically have run this division. We would have won the division last year for the 2 49er losses. We would have won it again last year. So that would have made 3 out of 4 years in his coaching tenure that we won the division. So no, Shanahan has had McVay's number for different reasons. The first few years was because Robert Saleh was getting into Jared Goff's head, and he was making dumb mistakes. And then this game, that's all on this team. You can't blame that on Jared Goff. Let's see, Mike. I was disgusted and embarrassed with the effort of the Rams display. Yeah, man, me too. Me too. The Titans game, I'm over it, but the 49er game, even if let's say we won the Super Bowl. Let's say we won the Super Bowl. Like I said this before, this is going to sound dumb or funny, but let's say we won the Super Bowl. Oh my God, I'd be so happy. I'd be at the Rams parade, everything, and this and that. And that's what I'm expecting us to do. But I would still think about the loss to the 49ers. It wouldn't be a perfect season for me. A perfect season is sweeping the 49ers and winning the Super Bowl. Hey, what's up, brother? Yeah, man, you guys had a tough game yesterday, but that's what happens, man. Props to you. Amari Cooper went down, and CeeDee Lamb went down. Mahomes is starting to get it together. We'll see what happens with him. And but yeah, you guys are still in great shape. The only thing that sucks is CC Lamb. I'm not sure about CC Lamb, but with the have him for Thanksgiving, so the rate game might be a little tougher. And with the and this year has been so weird, man. Look at the Titans look so overwhelmingly tough against us, and then they lost to the Titans yesterday. So just the way it goes. That's the NFL, and the NFL, anything can happen. Yeah, Mike. The Rams' future is very dim if you say the Rams' future is very dim if McVay doesn't play a tougher style of football the rest of the way. Well, let's just say this. I understand what you're saying. I agree with you. Not the dim part, the part that he needs to play a tougher style of football. Um, because when we play teams like the 49ers, see, here's the thing that's weird though, is are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers not tough? We beat them. Are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a better team than the 49ers? Um, Overall, I mean, they're very comparable, but is Tom Brady better than Jimmy Garoppolo? Uh, yes. Oh, the Rams beat them twice. The Rams beat them last year with Jared Goff at Tampa Bay, and the Rams beat the Tampa Bay Bucks at SoFi Stadium. So, yes, I understand your point. I agree with you about the McVay needs to play a tougher style. He needs to do that. Um, he loves the pass. I could just tell you that. But yes, so you make a good point. But it's like I say, it's a game of matchups, and for some reason we can roll out of bed, even in the Jeff Fisher era, and play the Seahawks tough and beat them. And with the 49ers, we could be a better team with a better quarterback, and we lose to them. I don't know. Hey Ray, thanks for coming in, brother. Um, but it's yes, I agree with you, Mike, on that part. I think the Rams' future is bright no matter what, but it can be better if he gets the style of a hard nosed running game football, and I think he will with Cam Akers coming back, because there's been rumors that Cam Akers will be coming back for the playoffs. We'll see. I just don't want them to rush him, but he looks good in his videos he's been putting out. Hey Ray, thanks for coming in, brother. Um, Yeah, McVay talks about consistency. Where's the consistency? Yes, the consistency in the running game needs to start happening. We need to run the ball more to set everything up right now, especially with Robert Woods going down. OBJ is a different kind of wide receiver. The Koskis and the Schronecks are going to have to step up, and I look for them to be okay. They're just going to be complementary players. But they had those guys have been here, and they've had a good role models in Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods to go off of. The same thing with Van Jefferson. They see the work ethic put in. So I'm looking forward to the future. Yeah, Ray, we need a statement win this Sunday against the Packers. We haven't beaten a contender since Tampa Bay. Yeah, man, we just need this win, period. But yeah, you're right. And I know that Aaron Donald and the guys would love nothing better coming off of a Niner disappointment to beat the Packers, since they beat us in the playoffs last year. And yeah, West Rock Greens, there's no consistency in the NFL period too, though. The only one who's been consistent is the Arizona Cardinals. Go figure. They can win with Colt McCoy. The great Colt McCoy comes in and saves the day. But props to him. He does what he has to do, and props to the Arizona Cardinals. They're sitting atop the league right now. Mike, you say, so what if McVay doesn't use Cam? It won't matter if he comes back. No, you know what? When McVay has Cam, he'll use him. I don't know what it is about Cam. I know that Cam is better than both the running backs that we have right now. I love Henderson. Sony Michel is a great compliment, but he's way better than both of those two. And he's a bigger, stronger runner. He's a bell cow runner coming off an injury. We're gonna, if he does play, he'd have limited snaps. unfortunately, because we wouldn't want to work him like a workhorse. But um, uh, I think when Cam Akers is in there, he would use him more. Um, but we'll see. He does need to adjust, though. I'll give you that. I'll agree with you with that. Yeah, Ray, it's been a weird year. But like I said, let's just be, let's just be glad that the Rams are at 7-3. We're working through some stuff. Let me just phrase it this way. The Rams are at 7-3. We're working through stuff. We lost our bell cow running back in the beginning of the year. Injuries happen to everybody. No excuses. If you're able to play, you're able to win. We lost now Robert Woods a Friday before a Monday night game. The game plan was already set. We brought in OBJ, and he basically um, had a cup of coffee, and they tell him, "Hey, we need you out there." Von Miller came in, and he was nursing an ankle. It turned out it was a little worse than when it was initially thought, so he needed more time to heal. So they both got thrown in the 49er game, and it didn't go the way we wanted. No excuses. Anytime you play the 49ers, at least in my mind, in this new age of NFL players, I see red. I don't care if I'm hurting. I want to go out there and smash the 49ers. That's the one thing that I wish McVay would instill in these players. Show them old tapes of the 49ers saying same old sorry Rams and the Janis Stubblefields and the I can't remember the linebacker now. He's a defensive coordinator of the Seahawks. Um, Whatever. Show them tapes of that. Show them the Tony Banks years when we lost so many games, so many years in a row. Show them the losses here. Get some fire under them. I mean, you shouldn't have to do that, but since the Rams have come back to LA, it's been a little different because a lot of these new era Rams players don't understand how much we hate the 49ers. And so that's the one thing that hasn't translated yet, and I wish it would. I know Aaron Donald and all the guys give the same effort all the time, but we need to instill that into our Rams guys, our young guys, that you know what, even if we were to win the Super Bowl, guys, if we lost to the 49ers one game, um, it's not a great season. That would be a little asterisk. You win the Super Bowl, you lost or you got swept by the 49ers. So yeah, that's what we need to do. I wish they could bring me in and I'll talk to the guys and I'll explain to them how much it hurts us more than it hurts the players. I'll explain to them how much we hate losing to the 49ers. I'll explain to them how um, I hate seeing Debo on the sidelines during a Rams blowout loss with the big old 49er chain. Time they haven't won the game officially yet, but how are you? God bless him. He has a right to brag for that game, but I mean, since he's been there, they've mostly been non-playoff contenders. So let's just speak about that. 5 team, and basically that's how I look at it because as good as they play us, they were still 3-5. That means they played 8 games and 5 other teams beat them, and we couldn't. We're 7-2 at that time. So yeah, it's gonna kill me, but that's what I wish they would instill in this team. If they have to show them tapes about that. Yeah, that's the thing, Mike. It's the same thing with the basketball. I'm a Lakers fan, and it's there. Sports is different now. You have all the guys getting together and being friends and all that, and the Kobe Bryant was one of the last players to have that old school mentality where he didn't give a shit what anybody thinks. He didn't care about he had his friends, but when it was game time, he was gonna light your ass up. He was gonna go for blood. Kobe Bryant was one of the last players in that kind of generation of way of looking at it when it comes to sports. There's a couple other players, but they're all buddy buddies, and yeah, we were 7-1 and now we're 7-3 now. Yeah, so I mean, but still a good record, because we had to play the Bucks and I thought that we would be around that record, 7-3, um, um, you know, because I thought early on we were gonna struggle, and it turned out that it didn't go that way. We actually struggled towards the end of the bye. Just because we didn't have any preseason, our guys didn't play, we were getting Stafford's getting acclimated to everybody. I kinda thought maybe we would struggle a little bit in the beginning. Um, but yeah, it's a two-game slide no matter, but the mistakes that we're making can be corrected. The 49ers game is kind of an anomaly because with Woods going down on Friday before a Monday night game, the game plan went to hell, and it was just on the fly. But it just happened to be against them. I would have loved to have played them with Robert Woods in there at least for that game, but and saw what happens then. But no excuses. You lose, you lose. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter who it's against. It sucks that we lost. Well, we could have a lot better record than we do now, but 7-3 is nothing to sniff at. The 49ers wish they had a record like us. There's a lot of teams around the league that are losing too. It is what it is, but 7-3 is a good record. We just have to start winning some more games. We cannot lose anymore. We're still looking for home field position, even if we don't have home field, the best record in the league, home field position, because I'd rather play if we have to play the Packers in the playoffs. I'd rather play them at SoFi Stadium because we have a better record and we beat them than have to go to the Tundra and play there where the elements can cause problems and they're used to playing there. But so we'll see what happens. But I just wanted to come in and let's talk about football, and we all have our opinions. And thank you, Mike. Ray and Westy Rock Rings for coming in. It's cool to talk football. We all have different opinions on certain things, on certain respects. We all want the Rams to win. The Ram fans that are here, Johnny G. Thank you guys for coming in here. I'm going to start announcing when I'm going to come in here. Sometimes I just come on. I just want to talk before I go to work. GB Val, thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate it. It's fun talking football. We have a lot to look forward to. Jared, thank you again for coming in too, brother. Um, uh, Ray, thanks for coming in. But with all the stuff going on in the world and everything, sports is our outlet to vent and it's a good time to be a Rams fan. Things haven't gone the way we wanted the last couple of weeks, but we're 7-3. We just got to build on it. We're in a lot better position than a lot of. Look at the Bills fans. They have that games, and the Eagles fans, they got a hell of a win, but they haven't been able to put it together. Cowboys fans, Westy Rocks Rings came in here and they're every year they get disappointed, and they have such a good team with Dak Prescott and Zeke, and their defense normally lets them down, but they got a couple of good guys in Diggs and Parsons in the draft, luckily for them. So, um, yeah, that's the thing, Mike. That's weird is we're losing at home. Yeah, and I got you, brother. I want us to win fighting. If I had my way, uh, we would crush every team, especially at home. They would fear coming to SoFi Stadium, and that's what I want. But yeah, you're right. That's where McVay needs to have a little smash mouth football. I mean, if you have to on the goal line, bring in Aaron Donald and have him be have him play fullback and and come around the corner and crush somebody and have have when Cam Akers comes back or Henderson, have them come right behind him. And that's something that I would do against the 49ers. Say we had a big lead, I'd bring in Aaron Donald and have him at fullback and have him crush Bosa. That's what I would do. Or I'd have him come out. I'd have him play cornerback on Debo, and Debo has a lot to say, and have him smash him at the line before he gets off because he's got the feet. Maybe he can stay in front of him. That would be funny. And I've said this before. Like I said, I hate the 49ers. But I respect them as a franchise because they've had our number. But I hate them. Um, I'm a guy that hates the 49ers so bad that I would have signed Jerry Rice to come to our team. When he was going to the Seahawks or the Raiders, he wanted to keep playing. I would have signed him. And as the press conference and all the reporters were there, I would have said, "You know what, Jerry? I changed my mind, brother. Tore up that contract and sent him out." You will never wear a Rams uniform. Get out of here. But that's how deep it goes with me. But yeah, Jerry Rice, the GOAT, the only receiver also to have two Pro Bowl quarterbacks throw him the ball in his career. How blessed he was. And then goes to the Raiders, and Gannon has that heck of a year. Uh, you know, God props to him, but I know he's one of the greatest receivers, but I don't know about the GOAT. I've seen some really good ones. Um, but no other wide receivers can say that they've had two back-to-back Pro Bowl quarterback throw the ball to you. I know that for a fact. To look at Isaac Bruce is in the Hall of Fame too, and he had Tony Banks throwing the ball to him, and Jerry Rice's best year, Isaac Bruce was 80 yards off of his pace for his best season ever. Look at Cooper Kupp, has Stafford throwing to him, and he's on pace to get there or break Jerry Rice's record. So I'm not saying that they're better than Jerry Rice, but he was very fortunate to have two Pro Bowl quarterbacks, Hall of Fame quarterbacks rather, throw to him in his career. Yeah, man, a good old Hacksaw Reynolds, man. Hacksaw Reynolds. Um, yeah, man, I hated to see him go to the 49ers. I hated to see Wendell Tyler go to the 49ers. But that's I hated it. That was he was one of the Rams in the Super Bowl team of '79. He was a hell of a player, and that's what happened. Unfortunately, when the lady whose name shall not be spoken, um, Mrs. G, I'll say, took over. Players like that left. John Shaw, Rams GM John Shaw, took over the helm, and we let players get away like that. We traded in Eric Dickerson, which is horrible. I can't believe we did that. So just look at the 49ers doing the same thing with the Yorks. God bless the Yorks. Eddie DeBartolo gets humiliated. He loses his team. Him and Carmen Policy were backloading player contracts, and they lost draft picks. They were the Patriots before the Patriots. The 49ers and Carmen Policy, his GM, were backloading player contracts, and that's how they can get a Deion Sanders to come in, and they got busted for it, and they lost draft picks, and they ended up getting ultimately Eddie DeBarro lost his team for whatever reasons. I don't know exactly why, and then he gets convicted of racketeering and with the governor, I think Louisiana or something. The great Eddie DeBartolo, he got convicted of racketeering, and then Donald Trump pardoned him. Donald Trump pardoned him. And then he ends up going from so he loses his team, his sister takes over, and the 49ers are now paying for the sins of Eddie DeBartolo because they can't get back to the Super Bowl and win it now. And so now the Yorks are taking over for that franchise, and they can't seem to get it right. It's like that movie Life. Can't get right. We call when we talk smack of the 49ers with my and fun, we call them, "Hey, shut up, can't get right." And they say, "Well, we beat you guys." Yeah, but you guys can't get right. You can't even make the playoffs. So if you ever seen that Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence movie, Life, I really recommend it. I love that movie. We call them can't get rights, or last placers. We call them that 49ers last placers. But yeah, West Rocks, we had to sign Beckham, brother. We needed someone to take the top off of the defense with Deshaun Jackson. Jackson's kicking himself right now that he left because he would have got more reps. He would have got more plays because Woods went down. but we signed Beckham because we needed more speed, and we got him for fairly cheap, and and yeah, so yeah, so we had to do what we had to do, man. Imagine if we didn't have OBJ right now with Woods going down. We basically have Cooper Cup and a couple of, and I love Van Jefferson, but he's a young player. Um, uh, but we'll see how OBJ works out, man. Like I said, he said all the right things. He's only 29. Um, uh, he hasn't played a lot because he's had injuries, but I can see him with McVay doing some things. So Stafford. Yeah, that's a good question. We'll see. Remember, Stafford and OBJ hasn't played at all hardly. They hardly practice and everything. And you know what? I'm going to say this. It might be controversial, and I'm not making no excuses. If you're able to play like that's my saying, you're able to win. I think Stafford was banged up. I think one of the reasons why, he a couple of practices he sat out because of a stiff back. His body's going to help, if anything else, him, because I think that he was banged. He's this guy's a warrior. This is why I like this guy, man. He'll be banged up and hurt, and he'll go out there and play through injuries. Yep, that's why he kind of didn't look right. No excuses though. I'm not saying for excuses. I think he was banged up because there's been some practices where they sat him out because of his back. And hey, Niner sickness, we were just talking about you guys. Props, man. Like I said, it's all well and good. Props to you guys on Monday night. But we were talking about the Niners, how they had our number, and they can't beat other teams. They play us like it's the Super Bowl, and then they go out and they lose. Because you guys came in and you were 3-5, and that same 3-5 team beat a 7-2 Rams team. So if you can beat us, why can't you beat other teams? It drives us nuts, but it is what it is. It's kind of like us. So we were talking about that, how we can roll out of bed, even in the Jeff Fisher era, and we can just beat the Seahawks or play them tough. And that's what you guys do with us. It's very, very, uh, very disappointing and frustrating. But but thanks for coming in, brother. I appreciate it. Props to my Niner brother, Niner sickness. We both hate each other's teams, but we respect each other and our teams. We're both trying to get to the same thing. Um, hey, Mike, thanks for coming in, man. Um, I hope the Giants win today. I feel bad for them. Um, let's see. Hey, Mike. Let's see. Spending some extra times learning to play this spot, man. I hope so too, man. OBJ, would be able to get a few reps under his belt, and they'll be able to put in some plays for him. Um, OBJ never does that. He's a diva. Well, man, I hope yeah, your restaurant rings. You know what? I don't mean, let me just say this. I like a wide receiver with attitude, but as long as you play hard for us, I don't care what. Kind of like I'm putting him in the same boat, but I don't mean to. Dennis Rodman with the Bulls. It's like you can do what the hell you want, but play hard for us, make plays, don't cause problems. Be who you are. That's why I like that attitude of Deshaun Jackson. One of the touchdowns he got with us, he was kind of looking back and jogging, and that was funny. I like that. So and I think that's the culture that McVay brings. He's a young head coach. Um, Against Shanahan, he hasn't made the right adjustments, but he's able to be a leader of men. He's been a good young head coach. That's why we could bring in an OBJ and Deshaun Jackson and trust that McVay will be able to coach these guys. Because McVay has been a great coach. Well, the Jags, you guys got a good games against the Jags, but you have to admit before that, you guys had out of 8 games, you guys won 3 of them. So that's what we're talking about. You guys came in 3-5, and we were 7-2. That's the proof in the pudding. The Niners have not been able to beat other teams. They beat the Rams, even when they sweep the Rams the last couple of years. There's 2 wins in your column, and even we understand you have injuries, but you guys can beat us, but the 49ers can't beat other teams. So even with those 2 wins in the column, you still can't get to 500 or make the playoffs. So we'll see this year. Every year is different, but that's what we're talking about. But yeah, so that's why it's mind-numbing and frustrating that a 7-2 Rams team can't beat 3-5 49er team, which granted they're the best 3-5 team at the time in the NFL, but they're 3-5 for a reason besides injuries. The other teams beat them. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to, because we got Aaron Donald, we got Floyd, we got Ramsey, we got Stafford, we had Cooper Kupp. At this time, we didn't have Woods, but that's what I'm saying. It's not talking smack; it's just facts. You guys came in 3-5, 5 teams out of 8 beat you guys. No reason why we shouldn't have, but it is what it is. Yeah, Mike, that's exactly right. McVay's been pretty good, but not great. Yeah, I can agree with that. I hope you're wrong, West Rock. OBJ's not it, man. I hope so. I hope Terrell Owens. Yeah, that's a good point. Terrell Owens was a diva, but he still played, and I hope that's what OBJ will get into us. Not saying he's as good as Terrell Owens, but that he'll be able to do his thing, act his way, and help us win. And he said all the right things, so we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, my friends were telling me about D Jackson. He's a diva. He's going to cause problems, and ultimately he was fine. He was fine, except he realized, and I hate that he did this, that he wasn't going to get the ball much. I think he thought that because he's Deshaun Jackson that he was going to get more playing time. But we had our wide receiver core at that time was loaded. Um, he couldn't break into the starting lineup. He was a luxury. You had Cooper Kupp, you had Robert Woods, you had Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson at the time, Deshaun Jackson couldn't. We weren't going to take Van Jefferson off a young player, up and coming player who's breaking out, who's starting to break out, and put OBJ in there. I mean, Deshaun Jackson in there. So he got frustrated and ultimately went to his old ways instead of being like, well, I'm here. I'm going to help us win. I understand that I'm not going to get as many plays as I'm going to, but I want to win a Super Bowl in LA. And, the Rams are doing that because they wanted to keep him healthy, and they were going to bring him along slowly and make sure that he's fresh for the playoffs. But he had incentives, and he wasn't making catches because he wasn't out there, and he went about it wrong. But yeah, man, he was working out up to that point, but whatever. Now he's in circus with the Raiders, and I'm sure he may. I don't know. Who knows if a guy like that regrets stuff, but it is what it is. But he's not in our team no more. But I liked having him. He was funny. I liked that swag that he had. I like the swag that he had when he caught the ball and he, tiptoes into the end zone. I like that. There's nothing wrong with that. I hope OBJ gets that on him, and I hope that I just take a man at his word. Hopefully he'll turn over a new leaf and win with us and not cause problems. But we'll see what happens, man. This NFL year has been so weird. A lot of teams have lost that I can't believe lost. But yeah, the NFC West is, at the beginning of the year, I knew that we were going to be in the middle of it, and we are, with Stafford. Stafford, beside these 2 games, he's been as advertised, leading the league in before this week, was leading the league in passing yards, leading the league in touchdowns. Cooper Kupp was having an all-time great wide receiver season, leading the league. We're 7-3. We're in second place. The Arizona Cardinals are top of the division. That's a surprise to me. I thought they'd be around third place. I thought it was going to be us and the Seahawks, or us and the 49ers. And the Seahawks are the rock bottom because Wilson went down. And even when he's back, they're still struggling. The 49ers are trying to right themselves as we go here. They're uh, 500. And that's, they've had injuries again. Like I said, I don't know if it's in the water or if Santa Clara Stadium's buried over a burial ground, but they've had injuries again, and but that's what they normally do. That's why when the experts pick the Niners to do something, I kind of like, what? They got to stay healthy first, and that stay healthy, they haven't been able to do it. The only team that they play good against, that's a winning team, is us, unfortunately, and but they're 5-5. That's pretty much what I thought. If we would have beat them, they would have been 4-6. That's more like the kind of what I healthy. They have a lot of players that are injury prone, and they just have bad luck. But that's kind of where I thought they'd be, fighting for third place or maybe out of it by now. And I'm not talking smack. That's just the way. Just like they say, um, we're going to beat the Rams. I say, well, I think you guys are not going to do anything because you're going to be injured, and Garoppolo's going to go out a few games. But props to them. They beat us, but they're still 500. They had to win 2 games straight just to get to 500. So we'll see what happens from this point on. In this year, anything can happen. It's been shown. Thank you, Mike, for coming in, brother. If you can't hit the alert button and if you're not, please be a subscriber, man. I like having you in here. I appreciate it, brother. And I'll be back in. Hey, Niner Sickness. Let's see. Only 2 games behind the Rams. Yeah, man. You guys are only 2 games back, but that's a hell of a 2 games, though. If we start winning again, that's a lot. We'll see what happens because you guys, as a Niner fan, and this, the Niners, uh, with Kyle Shanahan, because everybody was saying before the Rams game, a lot of Niner bloggers YouTubers were saying, well, I just want it to be competitive. I don't expect us to win. I just want it to be competitive. Or the Rams, I just hope they don't blow us out. Before Robert Woods went down, a lot of Niner YouTubers were already conceding the win, and because they know what kind of team we are. So when Robert Woods went down Friday before our Monday night game, and the plan is already set, we didn't adjust well at all. The team didn't play good. It was almost like, and I said this before you got on Niner Sickness, that we came out like if we were, and no excuses. If you can go out there and play, go out there to take the field, you can go out there to win. But it seemed like I watched the game again, and it looked like we were in almost in mourning that Robert Woods wasn't there. He was such a big part of our offense. Just to see him around, he's a big, Cooper Kupp too. The 2 guys, mainstays, are important to what we do, and it was almost like we were in mourning. And the Niners came out on fire. They came out with fire, and we didn't match it. And it was very disappointing. No excuses though. But and then on defense, Jimmy G cannot throw past the outside hashes. He doesn't have a strong arm. Everybody knows it. The game that you guys lost, that's what they did. They made him throw outside the hashes. They didn't let him throw the ball down the middle. What do? We let him throw the ball down the middle. Let him get the ball out of his hand fast. We didn't stop Cooper Kupp at the line to impede his progress, so he doesn't just go willy nilly and turn around and catch the ball and run. So that way Von Miller and Floyd and Aaron Donald can get home, make Jimmy G hold the ball more. When Debo catches the ball, get physical with him and knock him down right there. We weren't doing any of that. But the main thing is, don't let Garoppolo do what he wants to do. Throw it up the middle because it's a shorter distance, straight line. make him throw outside the hashes, which everybody knows he can't do. That's why they got Trey Lance, and we didn't do any of that. So I don't know what our defensive coordinator was doing. That didn't help. And then the Higbee bouncing off his hands into Jimmy Ward's hands. Stafford forcing it down, deep pass. And OBJ cut off his route. Interceptions. Cooper Kupp, Higbee, dropping balls. It was just a weird game, but they won, and there's nothing to that's what it is. Well, Robert, let's see. Oh no, it's not. Well, Niner Stickness. It's not talking smack, man. It's the truth. Like I said before you came on, I respect the Niners. I hate the Niners, but they beat us 5 times in a row. The last games they beat us were because Jared Goff would make mistakes. It had nothing to do with Shanahan. Shanahan in those games, yeah, he runs the ball against the Rams because he doesn't want Aaron Donald to. I mean, I know that, and I'm not Kyle Shanahan. He doesn't want Aaron Donald to go over there and cream. I mean, Aaron Donald in one game had 4 sacks, and Brunsfield and all of them were out there too. So, a few years ago, he remembers that. So yeah, he's going to try and run the ball, but um, Robert Saleh was the reason why the Niners beat us the last few years because he caused problems for Jared Goff. That's why we lost. It wasn't anything Shanahan did. Shanahan did what he should, what any offensive coordinator would do, is run the ball, throw short passes so you get the ball out of Jimmy G's hands because he knows if he makes him hold it, that he's going to get crushed by Aaron Donald and the guys. Robert Saleh was the main reason why the Rams lost. Make no mistake on that. Shanahan was along for the ride on that one. But when it comes to this game, Shanahan deserves props because he was able to have a scheme which we didn't stop. Like I said, we didn't make Jimmy G throw outside the hash marks. We didn't make him do what he doesn't like to do. We gave him the ball up the middle, wide open for Kittle to go up the middle. So, Shanahan is a heck of a coach. He's, in my mind, he's not a good head coach. He's proven it while he's been a 49ers head coach. He's got a losing record. Like I said earlier, Nagy has a better head coaching record than he does. And Shanahan is a great offensive mind, but he's not a great head coach. He's not a Sean McVay. Sean McVay is a leader of guys. Now, when you go head to head and he wins, that's a different take. But just playing other teams, the Niners have had bad injuries. That's not Shanahan's fault. But just the way he brings along Trey Lance, he doesn't. He hasn't had a good year in that respect. In my opinion, at least that's my opinion, and I'm not talking smack. Your record is what it is. I mean, if you hire a guy and 3 out of 4 years you don't make the playoffs, most of those years you're in last place, and you get to the Super Bowl, and if they would have won it, everything would have been hunky dory, but they didn't, and that was unfortunate. It was a heck of a game, but here we are again. Before this game with the Rams, they were 3-5. They were looking at coming in last place 4 out of 5 years. You can't look at a guy and say, yeah, you're a good head coach with a record like that. It doesn't matter who it was. If that was us, if that was Sean McVay, I would be saying the same thing. You know what? We got to get rid of this guy. I don't care that we beat the 49ers. I want to make the playoffs. That's what a lot of 49er fans are. Well, we beat the Rams. Well, yeah, you beat the Rams, but what about other people? You got to have at least in this division 10 wins. 11 wins, and you can't get past 8 wins, 7 wins. I mean, you're not going to make the playoffs. So that's a bad season. DeMarco Ryans did what he had to do. He played a good game. That's what surprised me. No, you're right. You're like I said, Niner Sickness. It's not talking smack. McVay. Here's the difference. I'm glad that you're here because I can tell you this. Let's look at that Super Bowl. So the Rams were missing Cooper Kupp, and we know how great Cooper Kupp is because you can see it here this year. But but he's always been that guy. He just hasn't had the quarterback to get him the ball. We didn't have him for the Super Bowl. Let's make no mistake about that. Cooper Kupp is the guy, the Edelman, that gets all the hard yards. He's a load, a handful. The Rams played the Super Bowl without him. And then you take Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley was banged up. He wasn't the same explosive Todd Gurley at the beginning of the year. He was a shell of himself. So we had to go out and get a C.J. Anderson off of the scrap heap and run him mostly against the Cowboys. And so then you give Bill Belichick 2 weeks to 2 weeks to with a young quarterback at the helm, Jared Goff. And at that time, he was vulnerable because ever since Cooper Kupp went out in the middle of the year, teams started to do what the Bears did to us and not let us get deep plays. And Robert Woods had to play out of position, and it was a little tougher for us. But in that Super Bowl, it was 3-3. The great Tom Brady had 3 points with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, so it was a defensive battle. Jared Goff was late on a couple of passes in the end zone that if he would have seen him sooner, we'd be up 14-3. But that's our Super Bowl. We had injuries and no excuses. We lost. The 49ers were virtually healthy. They played a Kansas City team that didn't really have a good defense. That's the same Kansas City team that this Jared Goff Rams team beat in LA 54-51. Let's not forget that, when we had an explosive Todd Gurley. So here's Shanahan have the lead with 10 minutes left with a fully loaded Niner team, the best Niner team that he's had in one of the best defenses that the Niners have had in a decade, and they couldn't hold the lead. But that's the same Kansas City team that we scored 50 points on with Jared Goff when Cooper Kupp was there, when Todd Gurley was explosive. So a loss is a loss, but those are two different Super Bowls. The Rams went in without one of their better receivers, and they went in with a banged up Todd Gurley. So on offense, you can see why the Rams might struggle on offense. The Niners were fully healthy. They played like it. They got in my opinion, a bad call on the George Kittle push off. They shouldn't have called that. But that Kansas City, make no mistake, that Kansas City team, we scored 50 some points on them in LA, and they couldn't hold us, and that's with Sean McVay at his best. But we both lost the Super Bowl. For Shanahan, that's his second Super Bowl that he lost. And it sucks losing the Super Bowl. But yeah, we both lost, but at least for ours, we can say that we had injuries. I could tell you this, and I'm not just because I'm a Ram fan. If you give us that same Super Bowl and you have Todd Gurley from early 2019 as explosive as he was, and you put Cooper Kupp in there, I guarantee you we'd score some touchdowns, because we got into the red zone and we couldn't get any more. We would love to have Cooper Kupp in there and explosive Todd Gurley. So you can't go back and woulda, coulda, shoulda, what. But that's the difference between the two Super Bowls, is the Rams were depleted, and the Niners were fully healthy, and they actually had the lead, and they messed up at the end. But Mahomes is nothing to sneeze about. He's a heck of a quarterback. See, the ref never called holds and weren't healthy in that Super Bowl. Well, you had your main guys though. You had what most of your wide receivers, Bosa and the guys were healthy. You weren't depleted like we. The only player to score for the Rams was the Rams kicker in the Super Bowl. Well, like I said, we both know that we only scored 3 points, but we both know too that they didn't give us a call at the goal line. They held Cook's arm, and they didn't call it. And so, we give us the ball at the 1 yard line, we're probably going to score. So, and then Jared Goff was late in a couple touchdowns. So it's not like we weren't competitive in that Super Bowl. We were, because going into the even with all the punting and not being able to get a touchdown, the great Tom Brady and the Patriots had 3 points with 7 minutes left in that fourth quarter. So it was 3-3 or 3-0 until we scored. But But yeah, man, losing the Super Bowl, but at least we can say that our main guys on our offensive part are hurt. That's what happens. Todd Gurley was a shell of himself, and Cooper Cup wasn't there, so the team, the offense, they struggled, and Jared Goff missed some throws, and it is what it is. He was a young quarterback. McVay can't make the catches and throws for him. No, everyone gets hurt, but Niner sickness, I'm going to tell it to you like this, man. We both are guys that don't hold any punches. Um, you're saying everyone gets hurt in football, bro. Stop making excuses. Yes, no, but you do understand that injuries make a difference, right? That's what I'll tell you, and that's what I'll quotate for you. You do understand that injuries make a difference. Let's take this Rams loss that we have. Let's take out Debo Samuels. Let's take out Kittle and Debo out of the game. What do you guys do on offense against us? So yes, injuries happen, but injuries to key players make a difference. So there's no excuses, like I said. You have to whoever else is in there, but injuries do make a difference. So yes, I do agree with you. Injuries happen, but you do understand at the same time that key injuries to key players make a difference. So we're both right. Let's make no mistake about that. You can't say that Ram team that lost with only 3 points is the same team that would have been with Todd Gurley being his explosive self and not beat up and having to get a CJ Anderson off the scrap heap to help get some of the load, and Cooper Cup not being there is the same team. You can't say that. But yeah, you have a point. There's no excuses, and I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you the low down facts of that Super Bowl. Because a lot of people like to say, "Oh, well, you guys scored 3 points." Oh yeah, well, let's look into that. That's what I like to say, and then I explain it to them, and then they kind of roll their eyes like it's not true. Well, it is true, and that's just the way it is. That makes a difference. Injuries make a difference. For instance, maybe you guys wouldn't be 3-5 coming into the Ram games if you guys didn't have injuries, right? So see, that makes my point. But yeah, great teams win with or without. You're right. You're right. But if it's in a Super Bowl and you have a key guy go out, let's say the Cowboys in their heyday with Emmitt Smith and Troy Aikman. Let's say Troy Aikman went down, or let's say Emmitt Smith went down. It's going to be a different team. But you're right. There's no excuses. Every team has to go through them. We lost Cam Akers beginning of the year, our bell cow running back. We went out and got Sony Michel to help Henderson, and at the bye we're 7-3. So yeah, I mean, we had two bad losses, and that's a luxury of starting out good and having a quarterback like Matt Stafford. We can lose 2 straight games and still be at 7-3. But yeah, no, you have a point. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not making excuses, but you have to explain the whole picture. You cannot just say, "Oh, well, that doesn't matter." Well, no, it does matter, and that if you have injuries, that makes a difference in the game. So yes, there's no excuses if you lose. You have to overcome injuries, but if injuries happen to key players, you have to understand the whole picture. So when somebody likes to say or troll that, "Oh, you scored 3 points," well, then you say, "Well, yeah, we scored 3 points. Guess what? Guess why? Guess what? If LeBron goes down with the Lakers, how much less of a chance do they have without LeBron?" So I can come right back at you with that. Yes, you have to win with players that are injured or not. No excuses. If you're able to play, you're able to win. But it can make a difference, especially when you play good teams, like a good team in the Super Bowl. When you're trying to outdo a Tom Brady, and you're missing two key guys. So but that is what it is. Everybody knows that. You understand that too. I'm sure you do. It's just, it is what it is. There's no excuses. But if you have injuries to key guys, that makes a difference in your chances. But but yeah, man, I appreciate you coming in here, man. It's always good to talk football. We'll see if you guys can keep up the winning, man. You guys looked good. You guys are heading straight to getting over 500. You guys have reached 500. That's good. The Seahawks are in the basement. They can't get it going, so we'll see what happens. We play the Packers, so hopefully we can beat them. But yeah, a lot can happen this year. The Cowboys lost. We lost. A lot of stuff happens. But yeah, man, the Lakers drive me nuts too, man. But yeah, it's all good, Niner Cygnus. I appreciate it, man. I like you coming in. You make a good point though. There's no excuses. Like, and that's what I always say, no excuses. But it kills me as a Ram fan to get to that Super Bowl and we didn't have our full complement of guys. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather lose with all of our guys or the main guys. You're not going to ever have all of your guys, but the key guys that got us there, just like Robert Woods. Let's say we were to win the Super Bowl. I would love it, but damn, I hate that Robert Woods wouldn't be there, but it is what it is. Um, yeah, Johnny G, I don't like politics, man. Uh, yeah, I understand why he speaks out, but I'm torn with that. I don't like politics though. I just don't. Everybody has a right, just like sports. Like me and my brother, Niner Cygnus, are going back and forth, and that's fine because we have a difference of opinion. We see it different ways. I like that. It's all good. And we are passionate about our teams. We have opinions, but I don't like politics. And uh, I don't like politics. Brother Niner Cygnus said, no personal attacks. We talk about our teams, but I just don't like it. I can understand why he does speak out, but right now, things can be construed a certain way, or it's so easy to say something that maybe you didn't mean it that way. I just don't like it. No, thank you, Niner Cygnus. I like you too, man. That's why I came in and I come in. Uh, um, I like your show, brother. We go back and forth about the 49ers. I really think that Kyle Shanahan is a hell of a coach. Just in my opinion, and I'm not talking smack, and I'm not saying that McVay is this way. I think that Kyle Shanahan is more suited to be offensive coordinator than a head coach. Uh, I think that Sean McVay is the whole package, except for against the 49ers. Just the way that he's able to, just his personality and the way he talks to guys, and the way he doesn't put guys in the doghouse. But you maybe have a different opinion, but that's just the way I see it from the outside. I don't see them all the time, but I do know that like the Grant Cohns, the SI reporters say how he's arrogant. He doesn't like to answer questions. He doesn't take responsibility for losses. Whereas Sean McVay, at least in the public, says, it's all on me. He takes the sword for the team. So it's a different way about going about it. But against the Rams, you got to tip your cap to Shanahan. But he's got you guys pointing in the right direction now. You guys are coming off beating us and the Jags, and you're 500. We'll see what happens. And like you said, if we lose another couple games, man, we'll be right there with you guys. So I don't want that. But yeah, man. Yeah, politics. I hate it because when it comes to politics, I want the best for everybody. I don't care if you're a Biden guy or a Trump guy. Just everyone, we're all in this together, man. And uh, everybody has their own opinions about things, but for the most part, I want everybody to have good paying jobs, good health care, um, safe communities, safe police, and that's all I'm going to say. Everybody wants the same thing. That's all I want. It doesn't matter who, but politics is politics, and there's money in politics, and so. But yeah, that's enough of that. But yeah, sports in general. We'll see what happens. This season is exciting. The mighty Titans beat us, and they looked unbeatable. And here the Texans come and they beat the Titans. So at least they got some of their own medicine, right? They beat us pretty good, and we're like, what the hell happened there? And then here's the Texans beating the mighty Titans. a bit of their own medicine, but that was to be expected. They were going to come down from that impressive win streak against good teams with Henry out. So this year is something else. But I want to thank everybody for coming in. I got to get ready for work. I'm looking at the clock now. And thank you, my Niner brother, Niner Sickness, for coming in, brother. Coming again, I appreciate it. It's good to go back and forth and talk about football. I love it. Johnny G, thanks for coming in. Mike Milik, thank you for coming in. West Springs, Mike Theo, thank you for coming in, brother. Let's see. Appreciate it, man. Johnny G, thank you for coming in. Like I said, GB Val, thank you for coming in again. I appreciate it. Jared, thank you again. Jared Ramirez, thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. And so I'm going to be doing more of these streams. It's always good to talk football. You know what, Niner Sickness, that's the key to you guys, man. 18 plays, 11 minutes. I was like, damn, somebody stop him. You guys have a good man, and he doesn't use it enough too in your guys' losses sometimes, in my opinion. But him and McVay both forget about the run game, man. That was you guys' Achilles heel on your defense, and we didn't run the ball enough. That's here. But what you guys, it was very impressive how you guys came out and 18 plays, man. That's how you got to do it. You wear down the defense, and then it opens things up. But yeah, thank you, brother. Niner Sickness, I appreciate it, brother. I got to get ready to go to work, unfortunately. But everybody have a good day. I appreciate it. I love talking football, man. And the Niners are right in the thick of things, man. I expected you guys to be there. Except for the injuries. I thought maybe you guys might have some injuries, and I'm glad you guys are able to overcome some reason. And then we end up having our injuries too. But like you said, no excuses. You gotta overcome those. So, but anyway, thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate it. As we always say, may the Ramelia be with you, and Ramulators, mount up.